What if I told you you're being influenced every single day without knowing it? From boardrooms to bedrooms, cafes to comment sections, someone is controlling the way you think, react, and respond. Not with words, but with timing, with silence, with subtle, invisible moves that shift the balance of power without you noticing. It's not magic, it's not luck. It's psychological warfare mastered by CEOs, cult leaders, elite interrogators, and the most magnetic people in any room. And here's the part that should wake you up. You've probably used none of these tricks, but they've definitely been used on you. In the next 10 minutes, you'll learn 10 psychological tactics that instantly shift power in your favor. You won't just be heard, you'll be remembered. You won't just gain attention, you'll command respect without raising your voice. And the final trick, number 10, is the one they never want you to know. Let's begin. Part 1, the silent test. You've felt it before. That strange sense someone's watching you. You turn around and they quickly look away. But how can you know for sure? Here's the trick. Use the contagious yawn test. It's simple and it's backed by real psychology. Yawning is a reflex triggered by social mirroring. We copy it unconsciously. Why? Because our brains are wired for empathy and connection. So here's what to do. If you think someone's watching you, maybe in a meeting, across the cafe, or at the gym, let out a slow, natural yawn. Then glance their way. If they yawn too, you've just confirmed it. They were watching you. They're paying attention, even if they pretend not to. This trick works because it bypasses logic. It taps into the primal part of the brain. Now you know who's tuned in to you, and more importantly, who's already reacting to your presence before you've said a word. Part 2, the food neutralizer. Emotions run high, tension is thick, words are sharp. Now imagine sliding a plate across the table. Suddenly, the temperature drops. That's not just lunch, it's leverage. Here's the psychology. When we eat, our body exits fight or flight and enters rest and digest. It's impossible to stay fully defensive while chewing. Blood flow shifts, cortisol lowers, and just like that, the emotional brain relaxes. That's why world leaders hold private dinners. Why mafia bosses settle scores over wine. Why executives don't argue in boardrooms. They negotiate over steak. Want to reset a heated conversation? Say, let's talk about this over lunch. Or if you're in the middle of rising tension, casually grab a snack. Offer one. You're not being polite, you're being strategic. Because whoever controls the emotional rhythm of a conversation controls the outcome. Food isn't just fuel, it's your non-verbal ceasefire. Used right, it makes you unthreatening and unreasonably persuasive. Part 3. Silence is the alpha language. Most people fear silence, but the powerful, they wield it. Because silence isn't awkward, it's dominance. You ask a question and wait. You get a vague answer and stay quiet. They start talking, again, revealing more than they ever planned. Why? Because silence is a mirror. People project onto it whatever they're hiding, their guilt, their fears, their unfiltered truth. Think of top interrogators. They don't press. They pause. And let silence do the psychological slicing. Here's the trick. The next time someone says something, don't reply instantly. Breathe. Hold eye contact. Let them feel the gap. Now you've flipped the script. You're no longer responding. You're being responded to. In a room full of noise, the one who speaks last and says least leads. Part 4. The serial position hack. Here's a psychological glitch no one talks about. People remember the beginning and the end. Everything in between blurs. It's called the serial position effect. And if you know how to use it, you can hijack memory. Let's say you're on a date, in a job interview, or pitching an idea. You can't control when you go first or last. No problem. You build your own primacy and recency. Start strong with a hook, a vivid story, a bold fact, or a confident question. Then, when the moment feels complete, end on impact. Say something they'll remember, something no one else would dare to say. Even a callback to a joke from earlier shows confidence and mental agility, because the brain tags how it starts and how it ends. Leave them with a final note so sharp. They'll be hearing it on replay long after you've left the room. Part 5. The adrenaline bond. Want someone to feel connected to you fast? Don't just talk. Trigger adrenaline. Psychologists call it emotional anchoring. Whatever they feel in the moment gets linked to whoever's beside them. But here's where it gets tactical. There are types of adrenaline bonding: challenge-based, try an escape room, or a competitive game. When you push your minds together, your connection deepens. Thrill-based, watch a horror movie, take a spontaneous trip, do something a little dangerous. Their nervous system lights up, and you become part of that memory. Vulnerability-based, ice baths, midnight walks, deep, raw conversations under city lights. This isn't just thrill, it's trust under tension. Why does this work? Because the brain doesn't separate the rush from the person. It blends the experience and the presence. So next time you want someone to remember you, don't just tell stories, make one together. Part 6. The mirror and merge trick. Want to build trust fast? Don't impress, resonate. Here's the move. Mirror their tone, their energy, their rhythm. But wait. Do it with a delay. Because when you match instantly, it feels like mimicry. But when you absorb, process, and then reflect, it feels like intimacy. This is more than body language. It's emotional pacing. If they speak softly, you gradually soften. If they laugh lightly, you respond with warmth. Not imitation, but recognition. Their tempo becomes yours, but on your terms. Why does it work? Because the subconscious brain picks up on something ancient. This person feels like me, so I trust them. And in a world full of noise, trust is magnetic. So next time you're in a conversation, don't rush to match. Let them feel seen, then mirrored. That's how real influence begins. Part 7. Their name is their weak spot. You want to trigger instant connection. Say their name. Not just once. Repeat it. Paraphrase what they say. Let them feel heard and remembered. Because here's the psychology. A person's name isn't just a label. It's a doorway to their identity. When you say their name with intention, you're telling their subconscious, you matter here. And that melts resistance. But don't stop at conversation. Apply it in writing too. Emails, DMS, comments. Hey, Sarah lands differently than hey. Personalized is persuasive, and when you echo their words back. Sounds like you've been feeling stuck, James. You don't just sound smart, you make them feel seen. Because the moment someone feels seen, they open the door to persuasion. Use it ethically, use it powerfully, because their name is their soft spot. Part 8. The illusion of choice. You want control without resistance, then don't force it, frame it. Here's the move: false choice. Would you prefer to do this in the morning or afternoon? Either way, you win. Why does it work? Because the brain loves autonomy. But too much freedom creates friction. Too little creates rebellion. This technique hits the sweet spot. You shape the outcome, but they feel like they chose it. Use it in leadership. Do you want to lead the Monday project or the Friday one? Use it in dating. Should we do sushi or try that rooftop place tonight? Use it in sales. Would you like to start with the core plan or jump straight to premium? The best control doesn't feel like control. It feels like clarity. Control isn't always direct. The best control feels like freedom. That's how you guide without pushback and get what you want without the power struggle. Part 9. Speak like you mean it. Words aren't just noise, they're signals, and yours better signals certainty. Most people speak like they're asking for permission. I think maybe. I hope this works. I'm not sure, but that's how power slips through your teeth. Here's the upgrade. I think. Here's what works. I hope. Here's the outcome. I'm not sure. Let's test it. When you speak with conviction, people lean in. You become the reference point, the authority, the voice that anchors the room. Because the truth is, the world doesn't follow the smartest voice. It follows the most certain one. This doesn't mean you fake it. It means you own your perspective. You train your tone, your words, your tempo to sound like someone who's already earned the answer. And just like that, you stop speaking to impress and start speaking to lead. Part 10. The eye lock test. Here's a simple rule. Never break eye contact first, because eye contact is a contract, and the one who holds it holds the room. When you lock eyes and stay there, calm, grounded, unflinching, you send a silent message. I don't fear you. I don't chase you. I command this space. But don't confuse this with staring. Use the triangle technique. Switch between their left eye, right eye, and mouth to keep it steady, not creepy. Add the slow nod while they speak. It's subtle dominance layered with empathy. It says, I hear you, but I'm still leading. In business, in dating, in negotiation. Your gaze does more work than your words. And when they look away first, that's the invisible shift. The power just tilted in your favor. And they'll feel it, even if they can't explain why. Control isn't loud, it's precise. You don't need to shout, you don't need to chase, and you definitely don't need to manipulate. What you need is clarity, presence, and the ability to understand people better than they understand themselves. Because every social dynamic, every negotiation, every power exchange is psychological first. The difference between being ignored and being respected, it's not luck, it's leverage. And now, you have it. The way you sit, the way you breathe, the moment you pause instead of rush. It's all strategy, not reaction. So next time you walk into a room, don't aim to impress. Aim to imprint. Subscribe to Dark Mindset. Not just to be liked, but to control the game silently. Because real power, it never has to raise its voice.